So the ATF's pistol brace rule is now in full effect, and the amnesty period has ended. In this video, I'm going to give you a full update on the pistol brace rule and the developments, what you need to know, and how you can potentially protect yourself from this new rule. But real quick before I jump this video, if you think the ATF's pistol brace rule is clearly unconstitutional, go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe. Also, I want to thank one of the sponsors of this channel, which is Blackout Coffee. Blackout Coffee has amazing coffee and they're huge Second Amendment supporters. If you buy their GOA roast or their FPC roast, some of those proceeds go directly to those organizations so they can file lawsuits like the ones against the ATF. So if you're interested, check out Blackout Coffee, and if you use the code ARMSCHOLAR, you can get 10% off of your order. I also want to mention that we have new channel merch available, so if you're interested in maybe this shirt that I'm wearing right here, or one of the other shirt designs that I have, the Text History and Tradition shirt, you can pick these shirts up using the link down below, and I would really appreciate your guys' support because I love these shirts, and I would love to make more channel merch that you guys could wear. As I mentioned in the intro, in this video, we're going to be talking about the ATF's pistol brace rule and some of the major developments. Now, if you remember from the last video and the last time I talked about the rule, here on the channel, we talked about the Fifth Circuit and a 3-judge panel issuing an injunction and clarification in the FPC lawsuit Mock v. Garland. In that recent order and clarification, the Fifth Circuit panel stated that an injunction was granted in favor of the plaintiffs in that specific case. The plaintiffs included Maxim Defense, some individual plaintiffs, and then also FPC. Then the question was whether FPC and its members would be protected by that injunction. Well, in the clarification, the Fifth Circuit stated that the members of FPC would be covered. That then led to my last video, but since then there have been multiple developments that we need to talk about and I need to update you guys on. Of course, the first update is that the amnesty period for the pistol brace rule has now ended. That means that millions of gun owners are now potentially open to felony charges for merely owning a firearm with a brace attached to it, or potentially even having a brace within your home and having a firearm that brace could be attached to. But since then, you had GOA in their Texas lawsuit who also sought for the district court to issue a similar injunction to protect themselves and also their members and the state of Texas. You also have the SAF case who had prior received an injunction prior to that Fifth Circuit clarification. And after that clarification in the Mock lawsuit, then the SAF district court there, they also granted an injunction based on the Mock lawsuit. So after that Fifth Circuit clarification in Mock, you now have GOA and its members who have an injunction protecting them. And then you also have SAF and its members who are also protected by an injunction. However, one of the questions coming out of the GOA case was whether or not the court would issue an injunction protecting the state of Texas and also its residents. On this issue, the court in the GOA lawsuit found that yes, the state of Texas and those people employed by the state and also the agencies within the state would be protected by the injunction. However, the court clarified in a footnote that the injunction would not cover all people, all residents within the borders of the state. The court stated on this issue that the court declines Texas's invitation to extend injunctive relief to within the sovereign borders of the state. At this point, Texas has only shown a likelihood of irreparable harm with respect to its own compliance costs. Injunctive relief within the borders of the state of Texas would be overbroad. So in the GOA lawsuit, GOA and its members are covered. Also, Texas and its employees and agents are covered, but not all residents within the state will be covered by that injunction. In the SAF lawsuit, the court ordered that, consistent with the Fifth Circuit's order on clarification, the court clarifies its order to confirm that the preliminary injunction entered in this case provides relief to both SAF and its members. So again, SAF as an org and its members are granted protections from the ATF's enforcement of that brace rule. Also right now, there's one other major injunction that is still pending, and that is the FRAC in 25 state lawsuit that's up in North Dakota. In that case, the plaintiffs have submitted the orders in the Mock, GOA, and SAF lawsuit to the district court. It's now going to be interesting to see if the district court there in the FRAC lawsuit decides to grant an injunction to those states and also their residents, or if the court is going to limit the protection similar to what the court did in the Texas case. But with all these lawsuits, one of the important dates we now need to keep our eyes on is the Mock v. Garland expedited hearing that's going to take place before the Fifth Circuit, which is going to take place on Thursday, June 29th at 10 a.m. That is important because there will be oral arguments before the Fifth Circuit on whether or not the district court judge there, Judge Reed O'Connor, was wrong in originally denying FBC's request for an injunction. This also means that the Fifth Circuit review of the case is not necessarily a review on the merits of the case, but instead it's a review on whether or not the lower court judge there, Judge Reed O'Connor, was correct in denying the original injunction. The Fifth Circuit will be deciding whether or not Judge Reed O'Connor abused his discretion when denying that injunction. And I do have to mention that to show that a judge abused his discretion is a very hard standard to show. And to get the Fifth Circuit to reverse on that basis will be likely hard. Again, it's a hard standard to meet. This also means that the other district court injunctions are currently in place only until the Fifth Circuit rules on that limited issue. But the Fifth Circuit has been favorable in the past, and I hope that they will again rule in our favor, find that Judge O'Connor was incorrect in denying that original injunction, and hopefully that doesn't negatively impact some of these other injunctions that we currently have in place. Now, a couple other things that have developed since my last video. Now that the amnesty period has ended, we have also received a final report from the ATF, and it states that as of June 1st, 2023, the ATF has received 255,162 applications for tax-free registration. So only 250,000 braced pistols were registered during the amnesty period. Currently, right now, estimates are that there is anywhere between 10 to 40 million braces on a conservative end in the possession of people. And that means that anywhere between 0.6% to 8% of all firearms with braced pistols were registered with the ATF. And that is, of course, very interesting because either there was mass noncompliance and noncompliance was very high, which I suspect maybe that's true, or people simply were not aware of the rule, which I think maybe it was potentially a combination of both. But either way, there's still the general concern that we had all along, and maybe that's playing out where millions of law-abiding Americans are potentially still subject to felony charges for simply owning a piece of plastic that over the last 10 years was deemed legal by the ATF, and then all of a sudden they changed the rule. Luckily, we have multiple temporary organization injunctions that can help to protect people. So again, make sure you're sharing this video and other videos around other information so that people know about the injunction so they can protect themselves in the meantime, because the amnesty period has ended. There was only 250,000 braced pistols that were registered with the ATF, and now there are still millions out there and millions of people that are potentially subject to felony charges. Now, the last thing that I want to cover on this issue of the ATF's pistol brace rule is that we received news that the House will vote next Tuesday on House Resolution 44, which aims to block the ATF's pistol brace rule. If this passes in the House, then it can be forced to a vote in the Senate, and then we can at least get pressure on politicians and representatives to publicly vote on this issue. Now, if you were asked my opinion on what impact this will really have, in my opinion, I don't think it will have huge implications because, of course, Biden will never sign this into law. I don't think it would ever pass a Senate vote, but at least what it could do is force our House of Representatives to go on record showing whether or not they are supporting what the ATF is doing or not. And then once it's forced into the Senate for a vote in the Senate, then we can put pressure on politicians to also have to affirmatively say whether or not they are supporting what the ATF is doing or not. And again, politicians don't like to be pressured on these issues. And again, it could kind of cause some strife between politicians and the ATF, where politicians don't like having their feet put to the fire because of something that the ATF is doing. So that is where the pistol brace issue currently stands. We have multiple injunctions from multiple organizations that protect their members, like FBC, GOA, and SAF. I will leave links to all those organizations down below where you can become a member if you would like. The Fifth Circuit will hear arguments in the mock case, and that's going to be June 29th. And after that, we will wait on their decision to see if they think Judge Reed O'Connor abused his discretion or not. Again, that's what that whole case hinges on right now. Make sure you stay tuned to the channel. Make sure you're subscribed, you're watching the channel, because a lot of these issues are going to be very dynamic. Things could change simply overnight, especially depending on what the ATF decides to do going forward, because again, only 250,000 of those braces and brace firearms were registered with the ATF. It's still yet to be seen how the ATF is going to enforce this going forward. So if I get any more information, if anything else develops, I will let you all know. But as always, thank you all for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And never forget, this nation was built by armed scholars, and this nation will be maintained by armed scholars.